What's up, Meta Nerds? Welcome back to part 2 of the story of Gallius Rax. In part 1, we learned how he rose from being an orphan on Jakku to one of Palpatine's most trusted advisors, and he was hiding out in the Vulpinus Nebula with the Super Star Destroyer Ravager during the events of the Battle of Endor. After this, he meets up with Rae Sloane, the admiral who ordered a retreat after the destruction of the second Death Star, and because of this, she was now in control of the largest fleet of the Imperial Remnant. In full crisis mode, many of the Empire's top remaining officials, who are all scattered across the galaxy, were able to get in contact with each other and set up an emergency summit on the planet Akiva. Gallius Rax was the one who coordinated this meeting, and the group of these high-ranking officials was referred to as the Imperial Future Council. And the goal of this summit was to figure out what direction the Empire should go in after the sudden and devastating loss of their Emperor. And while this meeting was taking place, the operator informed New Republic intelligence that nearly all of the important remaining members of the Empire all could be eliminated in a single strike if the New Republic sent forces to Akiva. The operator had proved his reliability before by leaking the location of other Imperials to the New Republic, but just to check out his claims, they sent a probe droid to Akiva first, but the information that it sent back indicated that there were no starships in orbit over Akiva. The operator then spoke directly to Admiral Ackbar and showed him that the information from the probe also showed that there was no communication across the entire planet of Akiva, and thus the Imperial Future Council must have been implementing some sort of way to hide this communication signature. Admiral Ackbar, though, was still not convinced and would not give Gallius Rax a direct answer on whether or not he would actually send a fleet to Akiva. It wasn't until they received a message from Wedge Antilles, who was being held captive by the Empire on Akiva, that Ackbar decided to send a fleet. In the ensuing battle, 2 Star Destroyers were destroyed, killing Moff Pandion and Moff Crassus, while the New Republic was able to capture General Shale and Advisor Yup Tashu. Admiral Sloane, however, was able to escape via the Star Destroyer, the Vanquish. Punching the coordinates for hyperspace, she was able to safely make her way to the Vulpinus Nebula and meet up again with Gallius Rax. Rax admitted that he had informed the New Republic about this meeting, and that it was all one big test, just to see which Imperials would rise to the top, and it proved that Sloane would be a valuable asset to the Imperial Remnant. Rax promoted Sloane to the rank of Grand Admiral, and she became more of the public face of the Empire, while Rax made himself look like he was just a low-ranking advisor. From this position, he was able to manipulate Rae Sloane, and he even turned her close friend and advisor into his secret lover, a relationship that he cultivated so that he could track all of the Grand Admiral's movements. Aboard the Ravager, Rax maintained a luxurious office, which had an enormous aquarium, weapons and tapestry from the Old Republic, and an extremely detailed holomap of the entire galaxy. From this office, Rax informed Sloane about his idea to create a Shadow Council, a group of important members from the Imperial Remnant, who would create, as he put it, a stronger and leaner empire. Somebody that Rax thought would be important to this council was Brendol Hux. He was known to be a ruthless, but very efficient, instructor for Imperial cadets. And he was known to run a program called the Commandant's Cadets, a group of hand-selected young recruits that received specialized training. Rax wanted Sloane to organize the rescue of Hux and his illegitimate son Armitage Hux, so that Brendol could lead a new breeding program that could revitalize the ranks of the Empire by starting their training while they were still children. He also informed Sloane that they needed to have a whole propaganda wing of the Empire, which spread lies about the New Republic and fabricated some victories for the Empire. Sloane went along with these requests, but was also secretly digging into Rax's past, finding that there was a whole gap in his record, and it seemed like he just jumped to one of the highest ranking positions in the Empire. She found pictures of him and other Imperials on a desert world she couldn't identify, and by snooping further, she realized that Rax had hid the existence of a second Super Star Destroyer, but she still couldn't figure out what Rax's main goal was. Rax, of course, knew that she had figured this out because of his relationship with her personal assistant, and once he had rounded up all the members that he wanted for the Shadow Council, Rax announced to the group that he had been the one who had been pulling all these strings, and that he didn't just have a fleet in the Vulpinus Nebula, but he also had fleets in the Almagest, the Recluse Nebula, the Queluhen Nebula, the Rolu Triangle, and the Anamorata, which combined had hundreds of Star Destroyers and thousands of smaller craft. As for resources and troopers, Rax also informed them that the Empire still controlled 3 factory worlds in the Outer Rim, Zadalane, Chorus, and Beladun. But even while it seemed that Rax was coming clean, he was still working as the operator, and at the same time that this meeting was being carried out, the New Republic was working off of leaked information and was able to take out the Star Destroyer's Scythe. Sloane learned about this, and decided it was time for Rax to die. She approached Rax in his private garden, which was held in the upper levels of the Ravager, and let me read to you a quote that she said to him. "You're pulling the strings, Admiral. I don't know what they're connected to, or why you're pulling them. I don't even know who you are, or where you come from. You are little more than a shadow, and yet you lead the Empire." Rax explained that he knew why she had come to kill him, and that she had been trying to look into his past. But he compared himself to Emperor Palpatine, whom Rax said he had immense respect for, but at the same time he saw him as a monster, and someone who often made mistakes due to his obsession with the Sith and the Jedi. Knowing that he would have to let Sloane in on more of his plans, if he planned to make it out of this garden, he told her of his plan to attack Chandrila, the capital of the New Republic. He also told her that he planned to support her candidacy as Emperor, and that he wished to stay on as her advisor. The first part of Rax's attack on Chandrila was to let the Empire appear weak and allow the New Republic to take back Kashyyyk. Here they liberated an enormous Imperial prison, and it was considered such a victory that Chancellor Mon Mothma started to organize a huge celebration, which would be called Liberation Day. Rax had Sloane contact Mon Mothma and tell her that the Empire wanted to discuss peace negotiations. During the huge festival, there was a main stage, upon which Rae Sloane and Mon Mothma were seated. Gallius Rax was watching the event on the HoloNet while safely aboard the Ravager. Mon Mothma started to give a speech and brought up onto the stage a bunch of the prisoners that had been liberated from this infamous prison facility on Kashyyyk. Many of these now freed prisoners were also spread throughout the crowd. Knowing that all the pieces were coming together, Rax informed Grand Moff Rand to move the Imperial fleets into orbit over Jakku. Then, Rax set his attack into motion, triggering inhibitor chips that had been placed in the prisoners' brains, which forced them to start shooting into the crowd. Many New Republic officials and civilians were shot, and even Mon Mothma was wounded in this attack. Sloane was able to use the ensuing chaos to escape, and she was now resolved to go and kill Gallius Rax. A shame that the Empire had fallen so low that they had to resort to disgusting tactics that had been previously only used by the rebels. Rax informed the Shadow Council that Rae Sloane was captured by the New Republic, and that the reason that they were going to Jakku was so that they could organize and train their forces on a backwater planet so remote that nobody would accidentally stumble upon the Imperial remnant. A large base was established in the sinking fields regions of Jakku, and for the several months that they were stationed here, their training got more and more intense, focusing more on hit-and-run guerrilla-style tactics, and even turning Stormtrooper against Stormtrooper, as anyone who questioned their purpose on Jakku or the intensity of their new training was nearly beaten to death and humiliated in front of their comrades. Rax also made an agreement with the local crime lord, Nema the Hutt, in which he paid her organization to kidnap children from orphanages and small villages all across Jakku. These children were then given to Brundle Hux, whom he raised to be terrifying, savage child soldiers. While this was going on, Sloane was able to track the Empire to Jakku, and made her way to the planet, bringing with her one of those prisoners from Kashyyyk, who was also set on getting revenge on Rax. Let's go ahead and take a break here, and we'll finish up his story in part 3. Hope to see all you guys there.